oh, should have made the doors open, should have made the window, you know, whatever. All right, so since last time I've done a couple things. As you can tell, I sprayed the car with primer. Now this is the first time it's been all one color, so it's cool to see the front fascia as part of the vehicle now, more so than it was before. I've done a bit of sanding. You'll see some of the differences in the texture and whatnot. I also filled in a few divots that were on the hood scoop here with some epoxy clay that I use. This is pretty much ready to be painted black, and then once I have that done, I'm gonna do the windows and a couple little marker lights, and obviously the T-top window has to be done. I have a pretty solid idea of how that's gonna go. I also put rear view mirrors on it. I got these off of an RC car. I bought like a cheap one that I found online that was used, and I just wanted the chassis for another build. And it had these attached to sort of cheap plastic shell of the car, and they were perfect. So I took them, and as you can see, I drilled the tiniest screws I had into the mirror to hold them on. And I'll cover this panel once everything's being finished up. And these mirrors will get painted black, and then I'll hit them with the chrome marker on the inside so they have a mirror look to them. And then one other thing I need to do is I'm going to cut a piece of action figure window packaging and paint the underside of it black, and that's going to be the smooth cover for these rear lights, because that is what the car had. I got the interior dash stuff done, so I was finally able to get to a FedEx office and print off those graphics that I found online. So we've got KITT's little vocal thing right here, and then I cut a divot out for this top piece and then glued in the rest, and then I repainted the dash with Angelus acrylic leather paint. This stuff's really great. I'll put a link in the description. I've been using this on a lot of customs lately, and I realized that this sort of semi-gloss finish would be perfect for the dash. And then I also put this like center console piece on. Now the cool thing about the way this printed, I don't know if it's going to pick it up, but I used this waterproof kind of paper cardstock stuff that FedEx office had. It gave everything like a really crisp look, and it also made it so that the different surfaces kind of reflect light differently. That resulted in a more three-dimensional final look for this stuff. I've also got the steering wheel done. Same thing, I used the print offs and put these little button clusters on, and then I painted a little red circle to be the Knight Industries logo. So very close to being done here, and I cannot wait, because if you've been following this, you know that this build has taken me a long time. There have been some starts and stops, and I think it's going to be sweet when it's done. I'm going to get this thing outside and start the painting process. Okay, working on KITT's rear window right now. So this is the window insert that came with the car. As you can see, it's very like kind of yellow amber colored, and it's scratched to hell, so there's no using this. But what I did was I took just some clear packaging that I had, saved it specifically for windows, and I traced the outline of the window on it, and then I've masked off this border because KITT had like a black border around the window. I'm getting the windows in. I did the back window, and I'm happy with how this trim turned out. The front is actually a different kind of plastic from a different kind of packaging that's much thinner, because I was using the same stuff that I have in the back, and it was like scratching the paint, and you know, as I was trying to maneuver it in and whatnot. So I went thinner, and I'm getting a little bit of buckling in the front. So what I'm gonna do is I'm using this craft foam that I have. It's like real thin, pliable stuff, and I've painted some of it with that black acrylic leather paint that I have, and I'm making it into like a bezel for this windshield, because you can see on the bottom where the original Toys window clicked into place, it's got those two holes, and it's just kind of unsightly. So the plan is to use the foam as like a bezel piece. It'll go across the bottom, it'll keep this from buckling up, and it'll just make the whole thing look better and more finished. That's that. Oh, and I got it painted too. I don't think I've updated since I painted it. Really excited to finally have it in all black, because I was saving this part. It's easy to just like, oh, I'm gonna paint the whole thing right now, but there was a lot that needed to be done before I could actually paint it, because I didn't want to end up messing up the paint job and stuff. I also chromed out the mirrors. So the last tedious bit of this is about to be done, the headliner. So I've used some pieces and traced out where the headliner should go, you know, and all the interior lining of the carpet and whatnot. Made this stencil. I'm going to trace this now, stick it in the inside of the car, and then that's pretty much going to finish the interior. Once I do that, I can glue the door panels onto the inside and fit the dash and everything into place, and then the interior will be done. Okay, door panels are in, and this was easily the hardest part of this whole project. Just trying to get them to match up. You know, I had put these little lips on the inside to give them something to stick to. What I didn't account for was that when I sculpted out the seats to make these like extra side pieces to make it look more screen accurate, it ended up pushing up against the armrest part. It made it so that the body sat too wide and it wouldn't go down all the way. And so I had to shave down and sand the edge of the seat so that that would fit in there. And then getting them to actually like stick to something, you know, I had to build up some styrene between the curvature of the door panel and the interior door panel. So there's some blocks of styrene in there kind of holding it in place. So that was difficult. And then this one isn't really going to sit right. I actually had to attach it to the chassis of the car rather than the door panel itself. And it won't sit right until I kind of clamp this down all the way. So you can see the difference there when I push down on it. So what I'm going to end up having to do is actually, like, there are these holes in here, and these plastic like little pin pieces would go into the holes in the bottom here. I had to break those off when I took the car apart initially. So you can see the distance between the sort of bumper and the body here. So I'm actually going to have to probably put some screws in there and like clamp it down so that the body fits properly. Unfortunately, that does mean that I won't be able to take the top on and off easily to put Michael in there. But I also wasn't really planning on having him in the car. He's going to be sitting on the hood or posed next to it in my display. So I'm okay with that. I still need to make the T-top, and so what I've done is I have a piece of clear action figure packaging, and I have some two-way window covering that's like tinted on one side and mirror on the other. So what I'm going to do is put a piece of that on the underside of this, and then put a strip of styrene down the center, so that way it gives the look of what I need. No, it will not be a functioning T-top in the way that it was in the show, where you can clip this open and close whatever. And I'm sure somebody's gonna watch this and be like, oh, should have made the doors open, should have made the window, you know, whatever. You go ahead and do it, get back to me on how it went. So, but yeah, so I guess this is the first time I've shown it, you know, looking like KITT, like officially. So that's pretty cool. I also did this back piece. Let's see if I get some light reflecting on that. Yeah. So, you know, it had this cool like glass cover on the back of the lights. Very happy with that. Oh, I got to do the license plates too. One thing I was going to try, and this is part of why this build has taken so long, is because I was waiting on this to show up. This is a little MP3 player, and I think it's got a microphone function here. I think these act as a speaker as well. So what I was hoping to do is have a built-in thing where I literally, there's a spot on the bottom of this car where this would fit in perfectly, right? Like I would just basically use Velcro to stick it to the bottom of this. And then anytime I wanted to make it play, I would just click a button under it, right? And what I was going to do was have the kind of sound that KITT makes, and then have it be like, hello, Michael. The way this thing works, and this was like 15 bucks on Amazon, it's a cheap thing, but it's a USB stick, right? And so you plug this in, you upload files to it. But the more I thought about it, the more I was like, I didn't really think this through. I'm not going to just get this random MP3 player from overseas and plug it into the back of my computer, because who knows what's on this thing. It's probably fine, but I'm not going to risk it. I'm not doing that. So unfortunately, I might find like a little Bluetooth speaker that I can put in this or something, but I wanted it to be all self-contained. I don't want to have to do anything from my phone. So it would have been cool to just reach under, click, and have it make the noises. It's something I'm still going to try to figure out for the future, but for now, it's not going to be talking back to me. So, okay, it's time to set up the iconic KITT scanning light. This I actually got from a company called evandesigns.com. They have all kinds of tiny light setups for anything you'd need pretty much in terms of like scaled vehicles. And they have a KITT light. I believe they made these for like, so you could mod your Funko Pop version or something, but it works perfectly for what I need. So I got the light kit. And then this is the 3-volt battery holder and switch. So basically you stick a battery in there, you got a little switch right there, and then it's really just plug and play. You take the red wires, attach them to this one, black to this one, and you're good to go. Okay, wires are hooked up, batteries in, boom. Now I'm gonna have to figure out what order these are in and space them accordingly, so that's gonna be challenging, but it's gonna look pretty sweet when this is all done. The T-top is done. The solution that I had in mind worked. I'm pretty happy with that. Currently I'm working on the license plate for the rear, so I've got the license plate cut out and then I'm making a frame for it. So I'll cut this out. Styrene will go on top of the license plate itself. I'm going to chrome it with the chrome pen, and then I'm going to stick it to the rear of the car. There we have it, the finished kit with Michael Knight in the display. I would love to reveal this with the Knight Rider music playing, the theme, you know. You'll just have to imagine it because I don't want to get dinged for copyright stuff. What a difficult, challenging build, what a long process, and it feels so good to finally have it done. There were times when I was wondering if, when, and how I was going to finish it, but yeah, having it all wrapped up just feels incredible. And I wonder if this has got to be the only 1/12 scale kit with a soft goods Michael Knight probably in existence. I've scoured the internet and I've never seen anything like this, so I'm really stoked on this. I do want to mention it is not for sale. I usually get hit up with stuff like this, which is understandable, and I appreciate it. You know, especially, you know, when something that doesn't really exist. A shadowy flight into the world of a man who does not exist. And you make one, people want it, and that's really dope, and I appreciate it. But I'm getting buried with this one. So we're gonna go handheld, take a closer look at the final details. So here we have Michael once again. If you've been following the build on the channel, you've seen him already. If this is the first time you're seeing the video, I took an existing head sculpt of a different actor and I put epoxy clay on it and sculpted it into a David Hasselhoff likeness, along with the hair and everything. So that's 100% unique, and there is not another one like it. Interesting fact, and I looked this up, David Hasselhoff was the coolest white man alive from 1982 to 1993. So my goal for this was to make it look like the old Kenner set, which was much smaller than this. It was probably more of like a 1/16 scale than a 1/12, but you know, this is kind of the iconic outfit that he wore in a lot of the press, you know, promo stuff in some of the earlier episodes. So very cool to have that represented on my shelf. I haven't shown the light yet, so we've got that all set up. And again, this is from a company called Evan Designs. They have the little circuit and everything all good to go. You just need to buy the parts, connect the wires, and put a battery in. And let's take a look at the interior here. And again, this is all custom. I sculpted the headrests. Those are custom door panels, custom dash. I did find a printout of the interior graphics on somebody's DeviantArt page. I was unable to source who it was, but big shout out to them for laying all this out so that I could just print it off. If I can find out who it was, I will certainly credit them in the description with a link below. And again, the full build is featured on this channel, so if you want to go back and take a look at the other parts, they are available. The diorama I made on the channel as well, that is based on the mobile unit that Michael would pull KITT up into, and Bonnie would work on it, and he'd talk to Dev and Miles and, you know, suss out their assignments, etc., and he would flirt with Bonnie and all that good stuff. Yeah, I'm really happy with the marker lights, and I don't know if I showed, but I did just a little dab of silver paint for the door locks. So, you know, the base of this vehicle, for those who haven't seen it, was a cheap, I think I paid $30 for it. It was an 82 Trans Am toy by Gay Toys Inc. They made a lot of plastic vehicles back then, in different sizes. They mostly made Corvettes and Firebirds in the 1/12 scale. And this is actually, it's a little big for a 1/12 scale, which is perfect because true 1/12 scale vehicles end up being too small. So this is a more along the lines of like a 1/10 scale, and it scales perfectly with a 6-inch figure. So here's a front angle shot of it. Man, it looks so cool with that tracer light moving around. I do want to take a moment to give a shout out to the Knight Rider Historians channel here on YouTube. Their content is super instrumental in me learning details about KITT, having reference to look at the details on the interior, just learning about the car in general, and the show's production was really, really helpful. So yeah, big shout out to them. Check out their channel if you're interested in Knight Rider stuff. It's a lot of fun information. Those guys are basically like detectives, the way they track down, like, you know, where the cars went. They even just got a hold of the original trailer that was used for this set that I've approximated here. So definitely check them out. Do one last sweep of KITT for the road here. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and to those of you who have been sticking around since the first build video on this, thank you for riding with me. You know, as I mentioned in previous videos, a lot of ups and downs, some real difficult personal stuff happened in the time that I was working on this, but got it done, and I'm really thrilled to have been able to share it with you. So thank you. If you're new to the channel and you like this kind of stuff, I invite you to click subscribe and join along as we do this kind of fun stuff. At the end of this video, you're going to see a brief trailer for my graphic novel, Retroactive. It's kind of a James Bond meets Groundhog Day time loop spy story. I'm really proud of it. I'd love for you to check it out. There's a link in the description below. If you have any questions about this build, feel free to drop them in the comments. I'm happy to answer. You know, I always let people know where I got things, what the items were, that kind of stuff. So I won't leave you hanging. So thank you again for watching. Until next time, keep your head on swivel.